The fact of the matter is, whether you've been in network marketing for years or just a few days, your family and friends have seen your opportunity and your phone is, as we call it, burnt. If you're anything like me, that's a scary thought. So the big question is, how do entrepreneurs like us, who love the network marketing profession, who no longer want to be that guy, and are tired of convincing people during uncomfortable let's get coffee meetings where they say, what's this all about? How do we market in a way that aligns us with our dream clients and expands our network of upfront and transparent professionals, allowing us to get our time back, our families back, and gain a real passive asset? People like us who value impact over income, we deserve to see our visions once and for all. Join me in this podcast where we'll uncover just how to do that. My name is Eric Sablon. Welcome to Burnt Phone Marketing. What's going on, everybody? Eric Sablon from Burnt Phone Marketing Radio, and I'm super excited today. I have one of the gems in the industry I found this person out of the blue. One of a network marketer friends and one of another guy that was a coach I've been following forever. He's in the 2 Comma Club Award thing, and he's like, you got to check this out. This is amazing. So I jumped on it. You do what people say you should do, and if they're being successful, you just kind of go and throw your credit card at it and see what happens. This was probably one of the best purchases for an online tool that I've ever purchased before. That being said, she's actually given me the time to interview her today. This is going to be an epic interview. So grab your pens, grab your paper, and get ready. If you have to pull up your notes in your computer, do that, because this is the time to do it. She's a mother, a wife. She did community relations at the University of Phoenix. She's a former rowing coach. She worked at the Cypress Police Department. So she's literally done that before. She studied criminal justice. She's actually in 2 California colleges, and she is the founder of Jenna Larson Drive Performance Coaching. And she is the creator and co-creator of Group Trek CRM. So please welcome to the show, Miss Jenna Larson. Jenna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm cracking up. I don't know if my assistant gave you that bio or if you just did some impressive research, but that was taken it way back to the olden days right there. That was quite the intro.
Well, yeah, I do a little bit of research, just a little bit as we're going through. So yeah, super excited. So I rattled off a few accolades that you've had in the introduction, and in your own words, tell me a little bit about what drives you.
So for me, I would say number 1 is faith, right? That's the most important thing in my life. So all decisions are kind of rooted in that, and kind of just making sure that I'm aligned to, what I believe is my purpose. And so it's super important to me and to everybody that I work with that we really recognize that we're all put on this earth. We all have special skills and zones of genius. And what we need to actually be doing is sharing those with other people, because when we hold them to ourselves, we don't get to impact their lives. But how amazing when we put ourselves out there and we can give opportunities to other people to be blessed, what can happen. And it's really interesting. And I'm sure we're going to talk about this a little bit, but I had never dreamed that I would leave my corporate job. I was in it. I thought I'm going to stay here forever. I was there for 10 years. Just honestly, the most amazing job. God kind of knocked on my head and was like, nope, you're leaving. It's time to start your own business. And best decision I ever made, because with that decision and really stepping into the core of who I am and what I love and what brings me joy, it's birthed 2 amazing companies that have completely changed my life and my family's life. And so just so blessed. And, the thing that I think is just most amazing and what drives me is just the fact that we all have something. And if we can give people the opportunity to get that from us, it can not only change our lives, but change other people's lives too. So it's really cool to kind of put that all together.
Well, that's actually really cool, because I'm in the book every morning, so I have a whole lot of faith that I follow. My family is really close to that, and what I like what you said was, you stepped away, you kind of stepped out in faith, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. And a couple years later, you're super successful. You've got You've got multiple businesses that are amazing, and the trajectory in 2021 at the end, and then just coming out of 2022 when you launched 3.0 has just been phenomenal for you. So
Yeah.
super excited to be on this journey with you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. And I feel like when you step into what you were made to do, it's like literally the C parts, you know? And I think so many people have this feeling inside where like, man, I'm made for more, or I have this thing that I can share with the world, but because they're afraid it's not going to work, or they're afraid they're not good enough, or whatever the reason may be. And I always just tell people like, man, you don't know, the promised land could be right there. And if you just take that first step, you might actually part, right? And so it's just so cool when you really just listen to whatever's in your soul, right? And I think that whether you're a network marketer, a coach, a course creator, a software developer, it does not matter, right? Someone right now is desperate for your solution. And if we withhold, if we don't take that chance and that leap of faith, then someone is going to be still waiting for what they need. And, you know, it's just amazing that we have solutions that we can get in front of people. And, you know, funny enough, social media is an amazing way to get those in front of those people.
Social is definitely been, since the pandemic and since all of that stuff happened and there was a lot of people at home, social is just taken off. There's the good and the bad. And I always tell people, occasionally you need a block party and just block some people that people always tell me like, it's so like social media is so, so negative. I'm like, it's probably because the place where you guys are hanging out with, if you're hanging out with the right people, if you're listening to the right people, if you're clicking on the right stuff, social media is a great asset for you to get better and learn and meet more people. That's how we met. I mean, we met on social media. So
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Actually, funny enough, my business partner now, we've only met once in real life ever. We met through social media, through my other coaching program. He had a different software that he was selling. He hired me to coach him privately to help him sell his other software. And so when I had this idea of Group Track, which kind of was an accident, I was like, oh my gosh. And I called Nathan and I was like, hey, I have this thing. I think you need to make it. And he was like, no, not possible. We can't do it. And I kind of was like, well, damn, but in my head, I thought, well, I'll find someone else. Someone will do this with me. But I kind of let it go because it was over the holidays. And then 2 weeks later, he was like, oh my gosh, I did it. And so Group Track was born, which is pretty cool.
That is a crazy story. Just so you know, our business partner, when we started our business, we incorporated, did everything. We did all the business stuff literally during the pandemic. And we had never met each other. We met each other online. There was 3 guys. We met each other. I've met my business partner, one of my business partners once, and the other business partner twice. So
Not fun.
and that's it. It's so amazing.
Yeah, it's so, so cool. I mean, and I'm sure you have the same thing. I've got clients across the entire world, which, it's like, sometimes it's fun. Like I had a cohort of people I coached that were in New Zealand and we had to like a day and a half time zone stuff. But I was like, what a blessing. Like, yes, it's a hassle, but like, what a cool space that we live in where we get to serve people all over the world. Just so cool.
Yeah, we have some in New Zealand and then we have some in the UK. And it's weird because I'm 9 hours in front or behind the UK, but I'm 6 hours behind New Zealand. Right. So it's like, what time do we do it? Well, the New Zealanders, they just make it happen. So it's cool. Like they'll wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and do it. And they'll just do it. But it is a blessing to be in that space where you can help that many people, and those people will actually get up and do things right away.
So cool.
So I want to talk a little bit about, like, I would call it your secret sauce, what you do, your thing, your amazingness. So you have a software called Group Track. Guys, just so you guys know, inside the show notes, there'll be a link there. It is an affiliate offer. So just so you know, it's an amazing software. But I want to go over like 3 or 4 different points on what you usually talk about. So like when people are like online, how do you find leads online is one of the big things that I get. How do I get leads? How do I get leads? And for some of you guys because leads is a word that is online, prospects, people to talk to, let me break it down. It's like lead is a prospect. And as we move forward, we'll talk about leads as your prospects or the people you're talking to.
Like a potential client, right? There's potential for this person to convert into a client. Which is amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, You've heard me talk about this. I'm certain of it. But so we talk about your ideal client, right? It's the person that, you know, if you could work with this one person for the rest of your life, you would probably do it for free. They show up, they do the work, they get the results, they sing your praise. Like they're just the most amazing clients, right? Typically, it's that they've got a really big problem that they are urgently seeking to resolve, and you have the solution to that. And so in our coaching world, we call it your yellow car. And so when we talk about this online, right, we say, okay, well, if you're driving around town, how many yellow cars do you see? And people are like, I never see yellow cars, right? Well, if I said, okay, so now I want you to think about this. If there was a dollar sign over every single yellow car you see, what happens? And it's so funny. Every time I give this analogy, every time I do this coaching, at least one person will message me within the next week of listening to it and be like, oh my gosh, Jen, I'm seeing yellow cars everywhere. Because the thing is, once you start looking and you know what you're looking for, you see them everywhere. And so the truth is, right, we can either sit around and hope and pray that yellow cars just randomly drive by, or we can be super strategic and say, wait a minute, where do the yellow cars park? Do they get together? Is there a parking structure full of yellow cars, right? And so that's what we really want to be doing when we're thinking about social media. So there are, and on Facebook, there are yellow car parking lots, right? And this is where when you go into a specific group or a certain area, or if you get in front of someone's audience where they are like, oh my gosh, you're in my brain. How do you know what I'm speaking about? Like, how do you know what I'm thinking? That means you're in front of your yellow car parking lots. I have been on webinars where people have stopped me mid-webinar and been like, Jenna, how much does it cost to work with you? My credit card is ready. What are the golden handcuffs? Let's do this. And that is how powerful it can be when you are in front of the right people. I also love to tell this story. When I was first starting, if I were to just post social media posts, right, on my Facebook profile, right, where just my friends list might see it, nobody was actually going to see it. That was my yellow car. At the time when I started my coaching business, I was looking for network marketers. Interestingly, I didn't know any network marketers. And fun fact, I've never done a day of network marketing in my life, yet I ran a 6-figure network marketing coaching business. Whole nother story. Anyways, right? So if I were to post on my wall, no one's going to see it and be like, ooh, that's me, right? I would basically be just like posting and yellow, brown, turquoise, blue, whatever white cars are driving by. It's like, whatever, they don't care. So one day I was in a group and it was full of network marketers, and someone said, hey, does anyone know of a CRM? Funny enough, Group Track didn't even exist. I used to teach a different system. And someone said, Jenna, and then all these people started writing, Jenna, she's got the system, right? Blew up. In 1 month, 200 people joined my Facebook group organically without me doing anything. And 120 people bought my coaching program, which was a $40,000 a month. I did nothing for that. All I did was I said, where do the yellow cars park? Well, in that case, it was a group online on Facebook of network marketers. And all it took was me being very clear to say, do you have this problem? I have a solution. And then they came and bought. And I remember it was so crazy because I just kept seeing the sales come in email after email. I'm like, what is happening, right? But that is the power of getting in front of the people who actually have the problem you solve. And so that's kind of our philosophy, is when we're looking for, prospective clients, prospects, leads, whatever you want to call them, we want to say, where are your yellow cars parking? And for us, there's a number of places. You can go to your friends list. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's your friends list. We don't want to market to your friends and family. Well, I very intentionally use my friends list as a lead generating machine. 99% of the 5,000 people on my friends list are not actually people I'm friends with in real life, right? Mm-hmm. It would be Eric, right? Who I just randomly met through someone else, connected. And now, now we are friends, right? But that's the thing. 99% of my clients I've never actually met. I found them through this kind of organic relationship building strategy. And so, when I work my friends list, we obviously use Group Track to bring them into our pipeline and bring them through the strategy using our tool. But what's really amazing is that I don't look at these people and think, how can I make you buy something, or how can I get you to buy something? I actually think, how can we collaborate to get in front of each other's audiences to help each other? So our message is never like, oh, buy my thing, because that's gross, by the way. So what I do is, hey, we send the same message, and this is one of the scripts we give people when they join Group Track is, hey, thanks so much for connecting. What's the point of social media if we're not being social? I'd love to learn more about what you're working on to see if we can support one another. We have a client who sent that one message the other day and made a $5,800 sale. I mean, it works. It's just nuts. One of the sayings that I say every day, it's kind of like a catchphrase of Jenna's, is when you do things, things happen. When you don't, they don't, right? And so go to your friends list, look to see, are you a yellow car? Is it possible? And if they are, add them to your pipeline, work them through the process, send the messages, make the connections, and then you'll convert them. So we really are just looking for the yellow cars. And, again, friends list is a great place to start. We also have your business page. A lot of people are like, oh man, business page, not that, Jenna, it's crickets, right? Well, guess what? When you drive by someone's business in your car, do you get out of the car and start shaking and dancing and screaming and woohoo, I love Carl's Jr.? No, you drive by it. You're like, oh, that smells good, but you keep driving, right? Same thing. Your business page is literally a sign on the building of your brick and mortar business. No one's going to stop. They're just going to drive by, but they're like, okay, cool. What we need to do is stick the little man with the sign and have him spin it around come on in, right? We need to draw attention. And so what a lot of people don't realize is on your business page, you can see every single person who has liked your business page. And it's so crazy because I often say, okay, guys, if we're doing a live training, put in the chat how many people follow your page. And people will say 100, 200, 2,000, 20,000. And I'm like, do you realize that is 20,000, 220, whatever leads? And they're like, what? I'm like, yes, that person physically took their finger, clicked, and said, I will follow your business page. That means they're a little bit more yellow than someone who didn't. And so then the question is, well, what do you do with them? Because one of my famous analogies is, with social media or emails even, right? We think, well, people know what we do. If they want it, they'll come and they'll buy it. And I'm going to just be honest, that's not true. When someone comes into your home and you're like, hey, Jenna, fridge is over there. Go ahead and make yourself a drink. You're going to be like, oh no, I'll just take a water. I'm good, right? Because that's awkward. Same thing with social media. You're basically help yourself, go make yourself a drink. Well, imagine if instead of telling someone, oh yeah, I sell that. If you want it, go get it. What if instead I was like, Eric, I know you've had a rough week. It's been really crazy based on our conversation, right? You told me that. It's not real. I'm just making this up. But I got your favorite Chardonnay for you. Would you like a drink? You'd be like, yeah, sounds great, right? Because I've acknowledged, I've referenced a previous conversation, and I have something that I know you in particular want, right? It's customized to you. And that's the beautiful piece about using a CRM is we can keep those notes, we can track that information and offer a very, customized experience, which makes the person feel very cared for. So when we are standing on the corner with the little man with this spinny sign saying, come on in, that's what we're doing, right? And so for every single person who likes our business page, we use Group Track, which is the tool. We add them to our pipeline and we send them a message, every single person. And the message is going to say, thank you for joining, or thank you for following our business page. We tell them the name of the page they like, and then we tell them what we do. And then we ask them a question about themselves. And it's unbelievable how many people respond. They're like, thank you so much. That's amazing. That is the little spinny man saying, awesome, it sounds like we can support you. Not sure if you're aware, but we've got a Facebook community where we give complimentary support. We'd love to invite you. Would you like to join? And they say, well, yes, I would, right? So again, we go from the friends list to the business page to the group. And so the group, think about as your retail store, like your brick and mortar store, right? And what we teach at Group Track is this very Nordstrom approach, right? If you come in, we want to serve you. We want to give you exactly what you need, because if we do a one size fits all, it's going to feel very awkward. Imagine if you walk into real Nordstrom, right? And someone walks up and they're like, hey, Eric, the black shoes are over there. And you're like, what? I'm not here for black shoes. I came for a swimsuit. What? That is exactly what we're doing in our groups when we assume, number one, that the person is coming out with their credit card ready to buy. And number two, that we know what they want or what they need, right? So instead of that, what we want to do is ask them questions, get to know them. What are you here for? Well, how can we serve you so you can get really good results in our community? Tell us more. And when we make it about them and we learn about them, then what we can do is track that information, right? So if Eric tells me, yeah, Jenna, man, I'm really struggling with, making content that converts. I'm going to say, oh, that's really amazing. You know what? I actually just did a training the other day that really solves that problem. I'm going to go ahead and tag you in it, right? So think about, we're in Nordstrom. You just told me you're looking for black slacks. I'm like, all right, Eric, let me walk you to the black slacks section, right? So we're dropping them off at content within our community that actually speaks to what they care about, right? We're getting to know the yellow car. And then what we want to make sure to say is, and by the way, I'm going to reach back out in a couple more days and see how you feel. Because guess what? If someone walks you over to the dressing room with a bunch of dresses or shoes or whatever to try on, they're going to say, we'll be back in a few minutes to check on you and see how you're doing. Because if that person's ready to buy, we need to facilitate it, because again, no one's helping themselves to the bar. So then we need to follow back up. Hey, is that something that would you have questions? What do you think? And if they say, yeah, this is what I'm trying to implement, then we can say, awesome. Is that something you'd like to implement on your own, or would you like to learn about what it looks like to get support? What an easy way to say, would you like some extra help, AKA join our program? They say yes, awesome. If they say no, that's great too. You're not a yellow car, or you're not quite yellow yet. Doesn't mean you can't be. In the future, we've had people in our community that have been there for years that eventually convert, right? So this whole idea is that we need to be very clear on who we're looking for based on what we offer, right? What problem do we solve? What pain do we help alleviate? Then we need to say who has that problem. That becomes your yellow car. Then we need to say, where are they hanging out, which is in the yellow car parking lots. Then what we need to do is go there, start conversations, get them in the DMs, start to do the strategy. And again, we do this all using group tracks, so we don't lose people through the cracks. We can, automate a lot of it, but we can also replicate it. What's cool is that I don't need this to just work for me. I need my team member to be able to do this as well.
That's a home run. Like all of those points that you hit, like the yellow cars and then the Nordstrom's effect. And guys, if you don't know what Nordstrom's is, if you're on the East Coast and you don't know what Nordstrom's is, it's like the Neiman Marcus effect. It's that effect. It's the customer service that's above everything else that you've gone to. It's like going into Tiffany. It's like going into all the high-end restaurants or high-end shopping places. That's exactly what it is. And if you think about that in your groups, when they come to your group, when they come to your retail store, and you think like, where do I need to take this person? I need to ask them good questions. I need to, like Tony Robbins says, the better questions you ask, the better answers you're going to get.
Yeah.
So totally get into those. And then I love what you said, the strategy with that's like the golden nugget. Like all of us have these Facebook pages that we created, our business page that we created. Right. And then we went out on it and we're like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to send it out to all my friends. And a bunch of your friends and a bunch of other people liked it. And that little strategy right there is like a home run. Like, let's just work the Facebook page once a week and see what happens. And then boom, you got your sign, you got your spinning guy.
Yep. It's nuts. It is seriously nuts. People are thankful. That's what's crazy. I think we get so worried that people are going to be offended or feel like we're salesy. And so we do nothing at all. And I'm like, first of all, I'll give you the do's and don'ts so you won't be salesy. But second, it's like better to do something than nothing at all. Mm-hmm. And how easy to just to say, thanks for liking my business page. Here's what we do to support people. Tell me about what you're doing, I
liked your home run statement. That's huge. I like what you said about it was about the way that you said like that Nordstrom's portion of it when you were like it doesn't feel salesy. It's not salesy at all, the way that you put it out there.
And it's service based. It really isn't sales. And that's the thing when we're in the stage, right? One of the stages in group track, if we're talking about a pipeline, right? A pipeline is kind of like a step-by-step process that you take someone from, right? So first they're a lead, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this. And eventually the end of the pipeline equals they become a client. So one of those steps in our process is uncovering needs. And in that process, we're asking those questions to really understand, the intention is, do they have a problem I can solve, or do they have a goal I can help them accomplish? And if they don't, you have no right to ask them to buy anything from you, and you shouldn't. And that's where we get into the salesy weirdo stuff, which is like, hey, I saw you on Facebook and I thought you should buy my thing. It's like, what? Right? Like, no, ask me questions, get to know me, see if you think we're a good fit. And then if it's right, then make an offer, right? But we see people are missing that key piece. We've got to have knowledge about what they're working on to understand, should we even consider making them an offer to go to the next stage?
Well, that's a huge segue, because I'm going to jump down to a couple questions to actually a couple questions, and then we'll come back to them. What are so everyone's like, I want automation because I want to be able to touch more people, and I want this, and just send me this thing so I can do a bot, or send me this thing so it automatically does it. What are the common mistakes to avoid when using automated tools for social media online?
Yeah. So, and one of the big distinctions we like to kind of make is that we wouldn't even maybe call ourselves automated. We do have two features that I'll share with you guys. One is bulk messaging, which means, let's say you've got 50 people that you'd like to send a message to. You can queue that message up in our system and it will send to people over the course of the day. That would be kind of what some people might consider automation. The second one is called engagement post tracker. And basically what that means is, let's say you do a post on social media with a call to action, like say this word below and we'll send you this thing. We can automate where that adds all those people to group track. It auto replies and will send the initial message with the thing you're going to offer. But the two things that we want to be clear about with both of those, kind of automated things, is that it does not replace the human. The purpose of it is to nudge and start the conversation. From there, it's not like, you guys might be familiar with like ManyChat, where it's like, it takes you through this like sales flow. Ours is not that. Ours is actually quite manual with some automated elements, because what's really important to me, as you mentioned kind of in my bio, my background is customer experience, customer retention. I refuse to let our tool ever get to the point that replaces it, because I very, very strongly believe that it needs to be about connecting with humans. And so the way that I work my job and the way I coach my clients to work their business is, you get to use some of the automated features to start the conversations. That's where you get to be a robot. But then when they engage back with you, that's when you turn on the human, and you've got to ask those good questions. So, when we put you in the stage where it says uncovering needs, we're not sending you canned messages. We're asking you to have sales skills here, where you're asking the right questions. Now, we give you a lot of those questions in case you don't know them, but it really is where skill, strategy, and system have to come together.
Well, yeah, what I like what you're saying is you're giving them like the layup. You're giving them you're giving them the slam dunk, the alley oop. Here's the alley oop. You need to put the ball in the net, but here's the alley oop. Like, I'm throwing it up to you. And then what I love about it is, one of the big things with people in social media is they're like, well, I'm scared to send out this, and I'm scared to do this, and I'm scared to do this. And the great thing about those two options that you have, the bulk messaging that I found, and the tracker, is you can put up a post and run the tracker, and it'll do the initial stuff, the two-step post, the stuff that you're like, oh, this is so hard to do, blah, blah, I got to follow up with all these people. That stuff works. And then it queues them up, and then it moves them across into a pipeline where we call it the art of the conversation. And that's when you get in there to the art of conversation. And then the other thing is, like what you said about the bulk messaging, that actually will help people to actually, one of the things that I've noticed with our clients is they're just scared to actually start the messaging portion of it. And that part of it would really help people. Like, if they got 30 people to come in and talk, then they're like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. The hardest part was the first initial reach out. And if something's triggering that bulk messaging, that right there, I think is a tool.
100%. Yeah. And that's where I say, we kind of joke. It's like, this is the robot, and then you become a human when they engage, because you should be, right? but there's a lot of fear of like, I don't want to send the right thing or say the wrong thing. And so that's why we give you those templates.
Mhm.
And then it's amazing when we partner with people like you, right? Where you've got a coaching program that really teaches, okay, I'm going to teach you the skill and the nuance, use that with the tool. Man, when you combine kind of your strategy with our system, it's like the results are out of control.
Out of control. 100%. 100%. So we talked about the Nordstrom's way. We talked about finding your yellow cars. I just love, like, I love your analogies. They're so amazing. So yellow cars, we talked about the Nordstrom's way. The next thing, and then we talked about the common mistakes of what to do. The one thing that I want to kind of talk to you is, like, there's so many good business people out there. There's so many good marketers out there. And one of the biggest struggles that I hear is, you know what? I have so many people in my pipeline. I just don't know where people are. I don't know what they are, what they do. And one thing that you talk about, and I know that you can like pound this one into the ground, is how do you track your follow-up? Like, how do you make sure where people are, where they're going, what's going on, what the next steps are? How do you do that? And how does the system help you systematize that? So again, like you said, your team can do it, other people can do it, and it works out for everybody.
Yeah. So what's really cool about our tool, Group Track, is that it comes with 2 pipelines pre-made for you. The first one is kind of like when we're out in Facebook in the wild, right? You're looking at your friends list, you're on your business page, you're in someone else's group, you're looking at their profile, whatever it is, right? You can add them to the first pipeline. And what's really cool is that we're going to give you those actual steps and snippets and messages of like what to say. And then we give you the second one as well, because we want to make sure that as you're working this system, you know, first of all, what should the stages of the pipeline be? And then second of all, we just want to help you implement, because the truth is, I can guarantee everybody who's listening to this call at some point has been driving on the highway and is like, oh my gosh, I forgot to follow up with Johnny, right? And it's like, damn it. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it's like, shoot, we do all the work to get this client and then we let it fall through the cracks. We had a client the other day, and one of the parts of our tool is that it can work in Messenger. And so we used one of our tools in Group Track. He was able to find, he had 27 people in his Messenger inbox that he had made an offer to that wrote back and said yes, that he lost. They got lost in Messenger. So we used our tool, we found those messages. And if he had closed those people who said, yes, I want your offer, by the way, they actually said yes, he would have made 57,000 pounds, which is more than $57,000. And so it's like, that is ridiculous. The problem was, before he was using Group Track, he didn't know where the people were in the process, like in the pipeline. First of all, he didn't have a pipeline. Second of all, he didn't have a strategy. Third, he didn't know what he had done with each person because he didn't have a mechanism to track it. And so Group Track gives you the pipeline. It gives you step 1, step 2, step 3, like how do I bring them through the pipeline? And then it has built-in reminders if you want them, right, to remind you. So for example, when we're working our group strategy, when we put you in the dressing room with that content, we say, we're going to follow up in a couple of days, see what you think. We're going to set a task in our system to remind us to follow up, because I don't know about you, but I don't remember anything, right? And so we track not only where you are in the process of our pipeline, but we're also going to be tracking important information that you've shared with us. So when we follow up, it's still a very genuine, unique, custom experience for you, so you feel cared for, But Group Track is going to be the thing that really tells you where each person is and allows you to follow up without losing money through the cracks.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And I like what you said about picking up where somebody left off or taking notes. I read a book, Did Your Wealth Before You're Thirsty, and Harvey McKay, one of the best networkers in the world, literally said he does a McKay 66. And it's literally like spouse's birthday, spouse's name, spouse's anniversary, all McKay 66 points about one client. Now, I know that's a little over the top, but a lot of his clients are, a little bit different, but if you could get 20 points, 10 points on a person, and you can
let's be real. At this point, if we had 2, we'd probably be doing better than 99%. No joke. Like, it's crazy what these people are sending people. And I'm sure all of you have gotten a message where you're like, you clearly have no clue what you just messaged me. It's funny. I always tell this example. I'll get this message. You probably have all received the same message, but it's like, hey, I was looking at your profile and based on everything I saw, I think you'd really be a good fit for my CRM that works on social media. And I'm always cracking up because I'm like, really, you looked at my profile and you gathered that. That's so weird because I actually sell one. I don't think I'd be a good fit, right? But the truth is, it was a canned message that they sent to everybody. They didn't take the 3 seconds to look and see, no, she actually owns a social CRM, the best one there is, by the way. And maybe we shouldn't prospect her to buy this other one, right? But it's just such a good example. Number one, if you're gonna say that you looked at someone's profile, actually do it. And number two, like learn a few things so that you can connect on common ground and you have something that you can chat about that's going to move you forward. But be honest, and really do just 2 minutes of research, and then you'll have Group Track to really put that information in so you don't lose it down the road.
Yeah, that's 100%. And all of our clients out there, all of you guys, remember that's the 3, 2, 1, three things, two likes and hearts, 1 comment, send it out, and then talk to them in Messenger. So like actually go in and take a look at that. That's one of the things that we teach. The last thing that, well, I got 1 or 2 more questions, and this interview is going so amazing. We talked about your software and how awesome it is, and how I feel it's one of the most powerful ways to attract your ideal client, your yellow cars. And it's good for like a newer marketer and a seasoned marketer, or a veteran marketer.
Yeah.
Now you talked about 2 pipelines that you give with Group Track as complimentary, because it gets people into momentum, gets people going.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about why you decided to do that and how it's increased client retention and the use of the tool.
Crazy. So we used to kind of give the tool as a blank slate. And we said, yeah, it's really awesome. It's customizable, put whatever you want. And we really have 2 types of clients that come to us. The first is somebody that's already got a strategy to go find leads, convert them, do all the things, but they're overwhelmed because they have so many that they're starting to let people fall through the cracks. They're using team members, setters, that sort of stuff. And they're just so overwhelmed. So they are outwardly searching for our tool. They find it, they get it, they run. But the thing with them is they already know what their do this strategy is. And so we just kind of assumed everybody was like that. What we started to find is some of the people that were a little bit newer, maybe who were on our basic or even our premier tier 2 level subscription, they were struggling because they're like, I'm trying to learn a tool. But what we started to uncover is, wait a minute, they don't actually have a strategy. They might think they have a strategy, which I'll just go on a Jenna rant for a moment. Posting on social media is not a strategy. That's a prayer, right? Again, you're thinking people are going to help themselves to your bar. They're not going to. And so what we realized was, if we want people to get good results with our tool, we have to give them a strategy. And so that's why we just kind of decided to say, look, I've been coaching this for years. I know what works. Let's just claim it and say, this is the Group Track way. And so now we prescribe it. We give it to you. We say, this is the Group Track way to work kind of your leads out in the world. And this is the Group Track way of working what we kind of teach, which is like our Nordstrom strategy, but we call it the Group Track way. And so that's what we give you inside of our tool. What's happened now is, instead of people having to figure out a strategy and learn a tool, now all they need to do is learn a tool and implement it. And the results are ridiculously better. Interestingly, more of our clients upgrade into our higher tiers now, and more of them come in at the pro level, which is all the bells and whistles, because they're ready to use those features, and the return on investment is ridiculous. I mean, we shared, right, that one guy found 57,000 pounds. We had another client, same thing. She had a girl that had messaged her ready to buy in January. In April, she used our system, found the girl, realized she didn't message her back, messaged her that day, 10K sale. So it's like, when we talk about return on the investment, like, it's out of control. I was actually interviewing a guy this morning where he was saying he actually does do ads. So he kind of combines our strategy with ads. And he said, I don't know the number, but it was like something ridiculous in terms of like, return on ad spend. But he said he got to lower his ad spend because he converted his clients on such a higher conversion number because the people who were coming were better fit and they were ready to buy. So we've got a number of tiers, but it's really cool because what we're starting to see is people start with our basic and they get it so much faster that they're like upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. And, and then they're just converting their own and having their crazy wins. So it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome. So I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick, because we talked about pipelines. We talked about different catch-alls. We talked about the group track way. We talked about the Nordstrom's way on the group track way as well.
Yeah.
Now, I've done it because I'm a learner. So like if I buy something, I'm going to go in and learn, and I'm going to do the trainings, and I'm going to like literally get into the weeds.
Yeah.
You have an amazing system, amazing technology that helps people walk through the system in their own way. Like they can just go in and just kind of do some quick training, it's basic training that gets them going. I want to play devil's advocate. Like, here's the thing. How long do you feel before they like jump all in and start to go into the using the tool, how much training do you think they should run through before? I mean, because you can turn it on right away, but how much training do you think they should run through just to kind of get the basics? And the only reason I'm asking this is because I want someone to know that within an hour, you literally could understand this process.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Well, and I think too, like, the more we work with partners like you who get it and then really take our tool and niche it down to your specific group of people, right? I think what's cool is like, yes, we give absolute amazing training. We give complimentary coaching every Tuesday and Thursday. We've got all the things, right? And yeah, now that we actually give you the templates, before, oh my gosh, it took people forever, right? Because they're having to figure it out. I mean, it was just too mess. Now that we give you everything, it's like pretty plug and play. You just need to edit it and go. But when you couple that with working with someone like you, who really is like, okay, I take group track and I take it and I bring it to a different level. And I specifically teach network marketers how to use it and monetize it and connect it with your tool. The results that we're seeing for those types of clients are even better because again, we kind of broadly teach our strategy that definitely works across industries. But when we find coaches that are very, niche down, the results are even better because it really makes sense in the way that you guys want to use it. So I know that you're one of those people where, I kind of talked about, we've got people that already have their strategy. They come in, they take what they like from mine and they, mix it up, or they use a lot of what they came in with. I know that your pipelines look different than the ones we give people because they're the Eric way, right? They're not the group track way. Yes, you may have learned some things from us that you bring into your own, but it's yours and it's very specific to your audience. And so that's what's really cool, guys, is number one, you can customize it. But number two, if you're working with Eric, even better, you've got a guy who's clearly taken what he knows works and dialed it in for your industry so that you guys can just plug it in and play it out and get the results. So yeah, I think, quicker than it used to be. It used to be a long time to kind of get onboarded, but it's not anymore.
And I love the innovations, like all of the innovations that you're doing. You constantly are innovating. Like Facebook is doing some stuff. You're doing some stuff. You're making sure that everything's all copacetic and ready to go. So just so you guys know, I actually tried to build a tool, and it cost me a substantial amount of money from a developer from India that it was tough. And then I found this and I was like, you know what, this makes so much more sense. It's so much simpler. It's so much easier. And I'm kind of the techie guy. So I was like, this makes it so easy. And I kind of came in before Jenna decided to do like all of these really cool onboarding trainings to help the masses. Yeah. So that being said, guys, here's my share with you. Inside the show notes, I'm actually going to drop the link to actually take a look at the tool, check it out, and make the decision what's right for you. But just so you know that what we do here is we're going to support you from on the back end and help you out. And there's so much training that you can get that's already there that Jenna provides and Jenna's team provides. But here's the other thing, like as you see how we partner up and how we do things together and moving forward, this is going to be really, there's going to be a good relationship that's built here. As you see, more and more cooler things are going to come in the near future. And I'm just super excited. So I just want to say I'm super excited because this is where I think like we're spearheading to go work together a little closer. And also the tech that you're doing, the things that you're doing, it's just you and Nate are just crushing it. Like the things that you're doing is just so unique, so different. I'm gonna send you a note later on because I have a strategy that I definitely would like a little bit of help on,
Yes.
and you'll be like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I
Okay.
really would. It's one of those simple ones. But that being said, guys, first off, lastly, I want to just say thank you for spending the time with us. And I
Yeah.
do want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
Let's peel back the layers a little bit. I read a book by Tony Robbins, and he interviewed some of the top financial minds in the world. And I was like, you know what, this would be a good closing statement for or question for my audience. And the last question is, if you're a mother, you're a wife, if you couldn't pass anything on to your kids, only a set of principles to build a concept for life or business, what would that principle be?
So funny enough, it would be relationship building. I think that one of the most important things we can do in life is make people feel seen and make them feel heard and make them feel accepted. And I say it's funny because that's literally what I teach in my business is how to build connections and relationships. But, it's funny. The other day I was with my kiddo at school and he's pretty introverted, strangely, because I'm like as loud as crazy as you can get, right? But it was so interesting because I'm watching and all these kids are saying, hey, Anders, hey, Anders, hey, Anders. And he would be like, hey, hey. And I'm like, whoa, first of all, how do they all know your name? But then I'm like, Anders, say hi back. And he's like, I don't know their names. And I was like, what? Anders, and so we had this really big conversation and it just dawned on me like, he needs to know their name. He needs to know their dog's name. He needs a CRM for his life, basically, right? But the thing is, like, if we're inquisitive and if we're really curious and we genuinely want to know people, what happens is they feel heard, they feel seen, there's trust built. And when an opportunity opens, you are going to be the person that they come to. And so, aside from like be a good human, be a good Christian, all those things that I desperately want for my kids, if I were to give them a skill, it would be that to like truly get to know people and connect with them and understand, because there's nothing more important than relationships. And we saw it even with like COVID, what a huge hit that was to society to not be with humans and have those connections. And so I think that the biggest thing I would teach my kiddos is just to like really genuinely be curious about other people and connect and build deep connections. And I'd rather you have less of really qualified, good conversations than a million right? So I think that would be it.
That's
Connect.
huge. That's actually a really good one. Like deep connections. Like I always, in all of my trainings, I always talk about you're the average of the 5 people you talk to the most or you listen to the most. And the deeper connections, wide, shallow, never builds anything.
Yeah.
Narrow and deep always builds something that is truthful, that is lasting, that is a legacy that builds things into the next level. So Jenna, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out. If you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I get it, I understand, I have that pain, I'm that yellow car, I understand the Nordstrom's way.
Honk your horn.
Honk your horn, honk your horn. The guy's spinning. This is my spinning guy.
Yeah.
There will be inside the show notes, there'll be a link to check out the tool and you can take a look at it. You can test drive
Free trial.
Free trial.
Yep, 12 days. Well, when you sign up, this is the thing, we're going to onboard you just like we do our Nordstrom group track way. So you'll get, an onboarding call. We'll get you set up. We get you rocking and rolling, and, we get you access to all the complimentary coaching because we want you to get results, so yeah, if you give a free trial, we'll get you rocking and rolling.
Can you see why I like to partner with people like this? They really want you to succeed. They just don't want to sell you something. It's relationships over transactions. And you hear me preach that all the time. And that's who I like to talk to. That's who I like to connect with. So that being said, 12 days, click the link inside the show notes. It's no joke. It'll help you. It'll save you time. and it'll save you money. And here's the best part. Not only will you work your business better, but the community that Jenna has and the community that we have is amazing. And
Yes.
you might just find your next JD, you might just find your next something, you might find your next Jenna.
Amazing. And so I would just love to say one thing too. So, and I know you guys, today is May 11th, and you're going to be sharing this podcast a little bit later, but I would suggest, just like I'm going to do right now, guys, it's Eric's birthday today. So if you have the CRM and you want to write that down, that might be a really good note. And then what we would also love, I know he's going to put this on Facebook eventually, but just let's fill his thread with like, OMG, happy birthday all over it. So we can keep the love going as we post this over the next couple of weeks. But I jokingly say, like, not jokingly because I'm going to do it, but really like that's the stuff, right? Just remembering those important pieces about people. So thank you so much for having me. And on your birthday, what a cool thing for me. So just so grateful to be here and to have you as an amazing customer and friend. And I just hope everybody gets the tool and then gets into connection with Eric, because he's going to help you take it to the next level with his coaching.
Well, thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. And make sure you guys listen to the full outro because there's going to be a little nugget there. So, and I'll see all of you guys on the next episode of Burnt Phone Marketing Radio. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Burnt Phone Marketing Radio. Super excited to be here. If you could do us a favor and make sure that you like, subscribe, and leave us a review, because reviews go a long way. And I know why you're here. Today, you want to know exactly where to go to get your free trial offer of GroupTrack. Go to www.burntphonemarketing.com/Jenna and click on Get Your Free Trial Offer. Thanks for listening, and I appreciate all of you guys.